Hey, this is Mark,
And this is Kendrick.
and this is Movies in Black and White.
All right, finally a good movie we actually get to talk about after
Yes,
that last
again,
one we just
yes.
talked about, because that was rough.
Let's get on the horse again. Wow.
So
But
today we're talking about 1917.
absolutely fantastic movie. War movie. I was hesitant to see this movie at first because I was like, okay, I thought it was going to be in the vein of Dunkirk. I liked Dunkirk, but it was a very slow, methodical movie and a great storyline and all that kind of stuff, but it was just it plodded along very seriously.
It was your typical Nolan film where it was a lot of intersecting plot lines and threads, and they all interwove, and it was a very good movie, like you said. But 1917.
But this was awesome from the get-go. You got two guys. One guy gets selected. Sergeant comes over and says, "Hey, get a buddy. Captain wants to see you." He picks his friend.
Yeah,
right. We all would.
Yeah,
they're both sleeping under a tree.
Their names are Blake and Schofield, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they go see this commander, and he tells them, "Hey, you have a brother. Brother in the was it the second? I think.
Yeah, it was
Something like that. Your brother, along with a lot of other men,
second battalion,
are going to be killed unless we get a message to them to stop the raid."
Yeah, it was 1,600 men that would have been killed in this raid because the Germans had made a tactical retreat while everybody was thinking they had just made a "we're getting out of here" retreat.
Exactly.
And they were tasked with going and stopping the raid to pursue the Germans because the aerial reconnaissance had shown that the Germans were fortifying and going to surprise attack. So these two guys had to go. It wasn't a very far walk. It was like, what was it, like 9 miles or something like that? It wasn't very far.
Yeah.
It was. So the way this movie was shot, and I think this is really important that we talk about this, it was all shot in one solid motion. It was a one take, well, not a one take shot, but it was a one. There wasn't like multiple cuts between scenes.
Yeah, exactly. It was a continuous
shot.
Yes. Of their journey through this.
And it was beautifully done.
Oh, it was incredible.
So amazing.
You know what surprised me, and it really caught me, how amazing the architecture of the bunkers were.
Yeah.
Even on both sides.
Yes.
I mean, it was like, okay, the lines were, I figure, you look at war movies, you go, okay, you're digging this ditch, you're digging this out. Man, these things were fortified trenches made with cement, bricks, all this kind of stuff in that period of time.
Well, it's clarified, if you don't know, it was for World War One, not World War Two. It was for World War One, and they lived in some grungy situations. The Germans had the better situation because they had been encaved there longer, so they had whole bunkers concrete out with bunk beds and stuff on the inside, while these guys were sleeping on the ground and stuff like that. They did a really good job showing the battlefields. You and I had talked about this, how disgusting those battlefields were, and how there were dead bodies blown apart, strewn everywhere.
There were guys that were embedded in the walls
from explosions
in the walls of these craters. It was just the detail, the attention to detail. You were talking about the one scene where
he was getting out of the water, and he had to climb over the dead bodies in the water that were all bloated and stuff. It was disgusting. Now, I will tell you, the one part that really grossed me out, and we haven't talked about this yet, was when he cut his hand on the barbed wire going through no man's land.
Right.
And then they fell into this little pit, and he was getting up, and he pushed his hand down on a dead body, not realizing it was there, and his hand went through the dead body that he just cut on the barbed wire. I'm like, oh, you need to go get some shots. Like, you need to get a lot of shots now, buddy. That's just, I would have vomited. Like, there's no way I would have kept my stuff in my stomach. Those guys, that really, and I believe that's how those guys were back in that day too. Oh, yeah. Those guys were true hardcore dudes.
Hardcore people. I mean, when we talk about this day and age, kids this day and age wouldn't be able to handle, what their grandfathers, great grandfathers, and all this stuff handled.
Yeah,
they ain't lying.
No, this was it. This was it.
That shit was crazy.
No, it was also a matter of circumstance too. Like, these guys had no choice.
They had no choice,
and they just hunkered down and they did it.
Right.
I would love to say the same, that it would happen nowadays too. If we were put into that situation, people would be able to handle it and do it.
I think so. You would adapt and overcome.
But then sometimes you have these snowflakes that would just crumple like paper people.
Right.
It was very well shot, like we talked about. It was amazing how it was all one continuous shot, like we talked about, and it kept its time span. It wasn't that long. It was like an hour and 50 minutes.
Right.
And it showed their entire journey without doing multiple takes, but the way they did the passage of time was remarkable, and you never felt bored.
No.
Even when they were just walking, the conversations that they would just have among themselves or in the groups was amazing. Like, it gave you a feeling of that time.
You had they conveyed that true sense of urgency.
Yes.
In this movie. I mean, the pace that they kept up, the things that they were doing, and it was like you said. You'd see the scene would take when the airplane crashed.
Yes.
You saw them pan to the airplane. The airplane's coming in, and they were just kind of like, oh. Is it going? And they realize it's going to crash right near them, so they go taking off, and comes down, pans to them, and pans to the airplane and the pilot. The pilot's in there burning up. It's a German pilot, and these are, of course, Allied guys. They go pull him out, save him. The camera, he says, "Oh, he needs some water." One of the guys says, "We need some water." Pans away from those two, follows the Schofield to the water well, and you hear, "No, stop, no!" And goes back, pans back. Blake is getting stabbed by the German.
Yeah, it was rough.
But it's all one seamless shot.
Yeah.
And it's, like you said, that was just amazing how they did that.
Oh, it was impressive. And like we were saying, there was not a dull moment. There was some stakes in this movie, and you felt, especially after Blake died, because Blake died from that stabbing, Schofield kept on. Even though it wasn't his mission, he got kind of dragged into the whole thing. He went on for Blake to go stop his brother from getting killed, and he went through just hell and high water to go get that done for them. I mean, there was the point at the end where he was running through the bombardment just to get to the general. And you mentioned to me that, what'd you tell me when we were talking about it today, about the music?
Oh, yeah. The music set the exact tone that needed to be made for those scenes. I mean, you saw, it's like, okay, the raid is going on. He's obviously too late to stop the first wave from going into the trap. But he is still fighting towards getting to the general and delivering that message. And it's like the music is just
swelling.
Yeah, you're with him going, you got to make it. You got to do this.
Well, that just goes to prove my point even further, that music can make or break a movie.
Yeah.
And that music, it was done by Thomas Newman. Do you know who Thomas Newman is off the top of your head? It's okay if you don't.
I don't.
It's not super well known. I mean, he is and he isn't. You're gonna know it when I tell you. He's done Revenge of the Nerds.
Okay.
Cookie. You've seen Cookie, right?
No,
you've never seen Cookie. Shawshank Redemption.
Okay, yeah.
Which
yeah,
there's that. Yeah, Meet Joe Black, Green Mile.
Wow.
Aaron Brockovich, Pay It Forward. He's done a lot. But I didn't recognize his name until I went and looked it up. Wally, Jarhead Brothers, The Adjustment Bureau. God damn, he's done a lot.
Great. Yeah, he's done a tremendous amount of movies.
Well, this he did Spectre. Did he do Skyfall?
Wow.
He did do
Busters.
Skyfall. Yeah, he did a lot of good stuff.
Jeez, Pete, man.
Okay, maybe he is well known. I just didn't know of him. And I usually take great pride in knowing a lot of music people.
Damn.
He's good. He's really good. And he knows his craft. And I think because him and Sam Mendes, who directed this movie, have worked before on Spectre and Skyfall, they got a really good feel for each other and know kind of they collaborate well together. Right. And this movie just proves that. And Sam Mendes killed it. Absolutely killed this movie. And I love.
Well, here's the thing: the team they put together, Sam Mendes,
Thomas
Newman, and Roger Deakins, who did the cinematography,
yes,
worked together 4 times with Sam Mendes.
Okay,
on movies. So I mean, they all were familiar with each other, and that cohesion definitely helped.
Okay, so Roger Deakins, right?
Yeah,
they worked together on Jarhead, Revolutionary Road, Skyfall in 1917. Him and Thomas Newman had done American Beauty together, Road to Perdition, Jarhead, Revolutionary Road, Skyfall, Spectre in 1917.
Yeah.
So the collaboration between them shows.
Yeah,
it really shows, and it shows well. And the cast in this movie was no joke either. Even though it just followed those two, Blake and Schofield, who were relatively unknown. I'd never seen them before.
They were relatively unknown.
But they had a killer cast. They had Mark Strong, Andrew Scott, Richard Madden, Colin Firth, Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, it was stacked.
So many people.
And those guys only showed up for a grand total of 2 minutes apiece, if even.
I would say so.
Yeah, they weren't in it very much, but what they did with what they got was really good. And it just, more kudos to Sam Mendes for taking a World War I film. You don't really see many movies about World War I. You always see about World War II.
Yeah.
But that was a story worth adventuring for. And I don't know if you caught this, but I love how it began with Schofield sleeping against a tree.
Yeah.
And then the whole journey takes place. It follows their perspective the whole way. Like we said, the one shot. And then at the end, after he's delivered his message, they stopped to attack. He went and found a really big tree, laid back, and fell asleep again. And that was just a perfect ending. I mean, it was a solid movie all the way through. And we looked this up because we were curious. There was one scene that got to us. There was Schofield was getting chased by some Germans, and he slid into this old house.
Like
just
a cellar,
to kind of hide.
Almost,
And he found this lady in there, and she was helping him. She was French, I think.
Right.
And she was patching him up, helping him out. And he heard a baby crying. Well, she went and picked up the baby, and they were talking back and forth. He could understand her, and she could understand him, even though they spoke 2 different languages.
Right.
She was taking care of that baby. It wasn't her baby. And he asked her, he goes, "Is that your baby?" And she goes, "No." She goes, "Who's the mother?" "I don't know."
I don't know.
And she had no idea. She was just taking care of that baby. And he gave him all the food that he had in his pack, and he had a lot. Like, he was pulling out everything he had to give to them.
Well, the baby can't eat that.
Yeah, she goes, "The baby can't eat that. He needs milk, or she needs milk." And he gave her a full canteen of milk that he just happened to come across on the street. Right. And I was telling Mark, I was like, I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine being in that situation, seeing a baby starve because you have nothing to give it.
Exactly.
And then, this guy comes along and helps you out. But then I was like, well, this movie takes place in 1917 in February. Oh, no, sorry, excuse me. It was April 6th. April 6th, okay. 1917. Cool. We looked it up. World War I didn't end until November of 1918.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a whole year and some change before this ended.
A lot left.
Yeah, so he really did a good job of showing in that 24-hour time span between when they began this journey to end this journey, what these people were going through in this time frame.
Yes, and like you said, the full depiction of war. Still the humanity reigns when you're in war.
Yeah.
I mean, the civilian casualties, the civilians that are being attacked or displaced by this, you're like, okay, am I going to, like you said, walk by a starving baby and just go, the heck with it?
Well, Schofield, he didn't want to go. He didn't know. It was really funny. It was funny, but it was dramatic at the same time, because he told Blake, he goes, "Why did you choose me for this mission?
Right.
Why did you bring
me? Pick me?"
Blake goes, "I didn't know. I had no idea this is what we were going to do." He goes, "I thought we were just going to go on a food run. I had no clue this is what we were going to do." And then Schofield really committed to the mission. Yeah. And obviously, he completed it through. But one of my favorite parts, especially when you and I were talking about it, was when the German pilot clashed, and they really showed their humanity by pulling him out. And Schofield goes, "Should we just put him out of his misery?" Because he had been caught on fire.
Right.
And then Blake's like, "No, we need to get him water." And then they got stabbed. You cracked me up. What did you tell me word for word when you said, when we were talking about it? You were like,
"Oh no, you shoot that guy.
You shoot that motherfucker. Why would
you shoot that motherfucker? I mean, why would you? I mean, honestly, I understand. Hey, you're the humanity of it, but dude, you have to understand the heart of your enemy.
Yeah,
they are trained and indoctrinated to kill you.
Yes,
you've got to do that.
Yep. Well, because the enemy was the way the enemy was. Yes, you should take precautions to stay away from them and make sure they don't hurt you.
Right.
But they were being nice and trying to be helpful and just being good humans, and that's what happened, unfortunately. And they did a really good job with Blake's Destiny. This was only 30-40 minutes into the movie when he died.
Yes.
And then it was all Schofield from then on. And props to the guy that played Schofield, because he sold it.
Yes,
his name was George McKay. He did a really good job. Like a really, really good job. And they both did good.
Yeah.
Him and Dean Charles Chapman was the kid's name that played Blake.
Yeah, because Blake, his death scene was
dramatic,
quick but protracted and dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, like we talked about today, the color drained out of him quickly because he was bleeding so much.
Just bled to death.
But yeah, they had, the first obstacle they came across was the bunker. The German bunker.
Well, it was going across no man's land to get to the bunker, because they didn't. The guys on the other end of the bunker had no idea the Germans had left.
Exactly.
So they were just staying there, waiting, and not realizing their enemy was already gone.
Right.
So these guys went and found out that they were gone.
And they were
bunker scene, when the bunker blew because of the tripwire. The Germans had lined the whole thing with booby traps.
Exactly.
And they barely escaped. And when Blake pulled him out of the rubble, Schofield of the rubble, you thought he was dead.
Yeah.
You thought he was a goner.
He couldn't see. I thought he was going to be blind for the rest of the damn movie. Oh my god,
that would have been an impressive adventure. But that movie really upped the stakes every turn. Not for the life of me could I have imagined that movie being as action packed as it was.
No,
just following this one guy through one shot, going through all these situations for an hour and 50 minutes. But man, was it top notch? It was in really top form. And that just goes yet again to credit to Sam Mendes, because he's an amazing director. I mean, what my favorite James Bond movie out of all the James Bond movies is Skyfall. He did an amazing job with that movie, and then he followed up with Spectre, which was good, but living up to Skyfall is a feat within its own. You're not going to be able to top it. It's just not possible. But he's just an amazing director. He's one to watch always. Anytime you see his name come up, when I first saw the trailer for 1917, I'm like, it looks good. I'm not too sold on it. And then I saw Sam Mendes' name pop up. I'm like, never mind. I got to go see it now. I know it's going to be good.
Right.
And sure enough, it was definitely worth the ride.
It was well worth it. I was like I said, I was hesitant to see this movie, but my dad called me and said, "Hey, I went and saw this movie. It was 1970. It was great.
Yeah,
you gotta check it out." I was like, "Okay," I said, "Usually that's not a typical movie he would recommend it." Since he did, I was like, "That's gotta be brilliant."
Well, man, our buddy at work, he came up straight to me after he saw it. He goes, "You got to go see this movie." And I'm like, "Do I really?" He goes, "Dude, I told you to go see Dunkirk, and you didn't go see it in theaters." And I was like, "Yeah, that was my bad." He goes, "You have to go see this movie."
Wow.
And sure enough, I saw it, and I was like, "Yep, that was worth it." And I'm completely happy that I went and saw it, and I kind of want to go see it again.
Yeah, no, it's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth it.
It's worth seeing again, and definitely worth seeing on the big screen.
Yeah.
It needs to be viewed on the big screen.
You get to see that in the theater. That's
worth
best
it
for it.
Well,
the cinematography, the scene work of the costume work. Also, man,
you really felt
tremendous.
like you were in 1917 with their costumes, their helmets, their packs, everything. Like they did. Like we talked about, amazing attention to detail.
Yes.
Like thorough, amazing attention to detail.
I mean, it is no wonder it's gotten so many Oscar nods.
Yeah, Best Picture. I'm curious to see if it wins it. And after watching it, because I was like, when I heard about the Best Oscar nominations, I was like, I can't see another war movie picking one up. But after watching the movie, I'm like, never mind. I understand why it's up for nomination. Now, I still want
Joker.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to win. That was by far my favorite movie of the year. You know how many times I've watched that movie since it came out?
Oh, it's been
like 12 times.
Yeah.
I can't stop watching it.
I like that movie. I really appreciated that movie.
Oh, it's so funny.
I would love to see Joker win.
I would too, just because it's a superhero movie and not like our typical superhero movie. Well, I say superhero movie. It's a comic book movie.
Right.
And I would love to see that genre get its rights and get the ability to win Best Picture. And it truly deserves it. And Joker's not the first movie that should have won this.
No.
Or been even nominated for this by any stretch of the imagination. But it was the one that broke the barrier. It's got stiff competition, though, with 1917
yes,
up there.
It does.
And I'm really curious to see now, by every account, Joaquin Phoenix should absolutely win Best Actor.
Right.
And I don't think this movie's up for any kind of actor nomination, though it should be. Okay, it's up for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay. If this movie doesn't win Best Picture, and I hate to say this because I love Quentin Tarantino, but it should absolutely win Best Director.
I agree.
Because Sam Mendes, it is a hard task. And you don't see very many movies like that to do a one-shot movie.
Exactly.
It's a very hard thing to do because every movie takes multiple takes. Yes.
Continuous seamless pans in these takes. It's like,
you really question how they did
it, yeah.
And they had to do multiple takes for certain things. You and I were joking earlier today because we were talking about it, and I was like, I would love to see a movie with one take, but that would be really hard to pull up. The production alone and the planning that would go into it. And then you got Bob over here fucking it up with the boom mic.
Yeah, Jesus.
That's when you let Christian Bale go off on somebody. It needs this recognition because it is a very good movie. It is true. Oh, it won the Best Picture at the Golden Globes, and Best Director.
Wow.
This year's got some stiff competition.
Very.
And I would be surprised if it wins Best Picture just because of the stiff competition.
Right.
And there's a lot of good movies this year, so I'm really curious. When is the Oscars? Do you know? Oh, never mind. I figured it out. February 9th. Okay, so just for everybody's awareness, Best Pictures is up against Ford v. Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. Which, by all accounts, Parasite's amazing.
Fantastic movies. Even Jojo Rabbit. Have you seen that yet?
I have not. I want to.
You've got to watch that. You've got to see that. That movie was Taika Waititi did such an amazing job acting and directing in this movie.
He does a good job in acting and directing everything, though.
But this movie hits you in the face. You're going along in this happy-go-lucky. You know all this shit is wrong.
Yeah.
You know it's all jacked up.
Yeah.
But he goes along in this happy-go-lucky sense. And then it just smacks you in the face.
The script flip.
And it's like, wow. But yeah, you've got to watch it because I think we need to do a review on that.
Okay,
too,
I got to watch
it's a
that.
very good movie.
Even though it's well past when it comes out on DVD, we can recommend that. I guess if we miss a movie, we can absolutely review the Blu-ray or something that people recommend go buy. And like every movie I watch, I typically buy just because I want to watch again. I'm the type of person that if I like a movie and I don't buy it, the urge will get me one day to watch this movie. And if I don't own it, I have to go hunt it down and I have to buy it.
I'll usually stream it again.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, you will. Yeah. I like owning it, though, because like I told you, I have 1,133 movies in my collection.
Yeah.
I like growing that collection. I like having a movie room in the theater room and people coming over and getting a vast movies to pick from.
He doesn't like movies.
Yeah, no, it's such bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Okay, so for Best Director, he's going up against... Sam Mendes is going up. Martin Scorsese for The Irishman. Todd Phillips, obviously, for The Joker.
Yeah.
Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Bong Joon-ho for Parasite.
Yeah, that's... Like you said, the competition...
Is stiff.
Is very stiff.
Yes.
I mean, we really haven't seen... I don't think, really, we've seen the director and Best Picture Awards category be this stacked. In a long time.
Well, the Best Picture is really stacked, and there's a lot of good movies in there. But knowing how the Oscars work and knowing how they voted in the past, they always seem to pick the movie that's good at the time, but doesn't hold up to the test of time, really.
Right.
This movie will hold up to the test of time.
Oh, God, yes.
But I think they're not going to pick it this year just because they've gotten a lot of flack over the past several years for picking the go-to. So I think you're right. They may go for Joker... Or for something like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Parasite. Now, that would also be amazing if Parasite won, because that'd be the first foreign picture to win the Oscars.
Yeah.
That would be wild. The Best Picture Oscar.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to win Best International Feature film.
That was a great movie, too.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
God, I still need to watch it. I heard nothing but good things about it.
It was crazy weird, too.
See here. Oh, it's also up for Best Original Screenplay, going up against Knives Out, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time Again, and Parasite as well. I would be really shocked if this movie gets snubbed.
Yeah.
I don't think it will, but I would be super shocked if it does. I have to say, though, if Brad Pitt doesn't win the Best Supporting Actor, I will riot. Because he's won every other award for this movie for Best Supporting Actor.
Right.
He needs to win the Oscar.
Yeah, he's something else. He drives that movie.
As much as I would love to see Leo win a second Oscar, it ain't going to happen. Joaquin is going to take it. I guarantee. If he doesn't, yet again, I'm going to riot. Mm-hmm. So, Mark, scale of 1 to 10... What would you give 1917, my man?
1917 is gonna be a high rate. I'm honestly, I was not disappointed at all.
No.
I'm gonna give it a 9.4.
Yeah, I'm right behind you. I'd give it like a 9.5, 9.6. Because I did a top 10 films list earlier this year, right at the end of the year, right at the beginning of this year for 2019, and I hadn't seen this yet. But now, having seen this is definitely in my top 10 for the year.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing, and I'm so happy I watched it. And I highly recommend, while it's still in theaters, you guys go watch it and see it, because it is worth seeing at least once.
Yeah.
Maybe even twice if you get the opportunity.
Yes.
Especially now we got the lull before Birds of Prey and stuff comes out. Because I don't think anything's coming out this week.
Some movies you definitely can go see.
What's this coming out this week? Gretel and Hansel, which we will not be doing because I personally have zero desire to see it. You don't either, from what you told me. Unless you guys want us to watch and comment that you want us to watch it, we're probably going to skip that one.
Yeah, exactly. So this would be a catch-up week. I mean, honestly, if you get a chance, even if you get a chance, drop the kids off at school. You do whatever. Go to an early bird show. Go to wherever. See this movie. Take it in as a matinee, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, worth it. Yeah, absolutely definitely. Worth it. Enjoy it, because it's a ride. All the way through.
Yeah, it is really.
And even though we gave you some spoilers in it, knowing those spoilers, it's not going to diminish
the movie.
Yeah, it's not going to diminish the movie for you one little bit, because we could not do this movie justice explaining it. There's just no way it's possible. It is worth watching.
Yeah, it is a see to really appreciate.
Yes,
because like I said, the cinematography and the way they directed the cinematography in this movie is
bar none.
Super,
well, I thought Rise of Skywalker had the best cinematography and visuals of the movie of the year, but this took the cake,
because this is practical.
Yeah, Star Wars was a lot of practical, but it was also a lot of CGI. Right, and this had its CGI, I'm sure. But it was blended just enough to where, the plane dogfight scene, you can't. Yeah, you can't. It was obviously fake, but Sam Mendes is perfect at that kind of stuff. Skyfall, it all looked practical watching it, and most of it really was. So, dude's really a master of his art. Yes, he truly is, and I hope he gets some kind of award for this movie. I know he has already, but Oscar nominations are something different compared to Golden Globes.
Yes.
So that's the high benchmark for you there. You got anything else to add to this one?
No. Just go see it.
Yeah. Thankfully, this wasn't The Lonely Guy all over again.
Oh, God. No, we shall not mention that again.
No, we will not bring that up. Especially at the end of the year when we're finishing up for the year. We'll be like, all right, all these were good except Lonely Guy. Lonely Guy, you can go fuck yourself. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't got anything else to say on this movie.
That's what lonely guys do.
Yeah, that's wrong. All right, well, I'm Ben Kendrick.
And I'm Mark.
And this has been Movies in Black and White. See y'all next time.